Today, we're joined by someone who doesn't just talk creativity, he builds the spaces where it thrives.
Collaboration and network is the new highest form of commodity.
We're sitting down with another OG in the game, someone who's been putting in the work for the culture long before people started calling themselves content creators.
Yes, money is access, right? I had the access, so I didn't need the money.
From the booth to the boardroom, Slim's been shaping the creative landscape in South Africa in ways that you do not even realize.
When you are in something new and you're in something like entrepreneurship, it is in your best interest to not know the road ahead.
He's gone from artist to architect of culture, content, and community.
Most of us as males struggle with self-love. At the foundation of loving yourself is discipline.
He's the operations manager at AMPB Studios, co-founder of BlaQ Grind Coffee Co, a former hip-hop artist.
You cannot get something and appreciate it without sacrificing it.
Today's episode is about turning hustle into infrastructure. If you've ever wondered how to actually turn creativity into community and cash, this one is for you. Slim,
Yes.
let's cook.
Come on, man.
Welcome to the latest episode of the C.Cast. It's an absolute pleasure having you here today. Before we get into the next guest, I just want to give you a little bit of an idea of what this podcast is about. We are about connecting creativity and technology to uplift the African continent and connect the world to Africa. What we do is we chat to members of our communities. We give them a platform to share their story and to share how they are connecting Africa to the digital economy and the world to Africa. So before we get into this next guest, if you like our content, I just want to remind you to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about what you think about the conversation. If you want to get more involved in the community, you can also join the WhatsApp group by scanning the QR code. In this group, we'll be able to share opportunities, knowledge with you, and you'll be able to meet other like-minded people of the community. So yeah, we hope to see you in the group soon. Until then, let's get into the episode.
You guys have something really interesting out here.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to find out like how, we met at BlaQ
Yeah.
Coffee,
Yeah.
and more so like I also really love the AMPD space.
Yeah,
because I
for
feel like
sure,
it's a
for sure.
very similar kind of environment
Yeah.
where you're creating a space for people to connect, network,
Yeah.
like literally how we did.
Yeah.
I was literally recording a podcast. Got to give a shout out to Michelle Experts and her Resonates
Yeah,
podcast because I
yeah.
went there for a recording. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But yeah, I was just walking out,
Yeah.
ran into you,
Yeah.
found out that you were running the AMPD space, and you've also
Yeah.
got your own business that
Yeah.
lives there as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I need to get this man on the podcast.
Man,
This
man,
man's got
thank
some
you.
stories.
Thank
So,
you.
like, just to hop into the conversation, normally the way that we start off these is to kind of go back to the beginning. So now I know you've got a bit of a background into the creative space, and I want to find out more about the ingredients.
Yeah.
So, like, how exactly did you get into this creative world in the music space?
So,
Was it music? Was it media? How did that all start?
It started as music. I feel I'm still a musician. I've just taken some time off it, right? So I'm originally from Cape Town.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah, I'm originally from Cape Town. I moved to Joburg around 2019. 2019, maybe March, April,
Yeah.
right? And I'd taken all my savings, got to Johannesburg, and got a place. The artist hustle, right? Trying to
Yeah.
like find the right resources, trying to find the right spaces. I'll say when I left Cape Town, I felt like I hit a ceiling. I think whenever you're not in like Cape Town is a big city, yes, but it wasn't the media city. You know what I mean? So I was like, Joburg is definitely the place to be. Got here, knew that I was very much talented, right? Did every interview I could think of in Cape Town, performed in every stage I could think of in Cape Town. Got here, crickets, right? Like straight crickets, right? I'm not getting booked anywhere. I barely know anybody here. I don't have access to resources. And when I was in Cape Town, I had worked on a campaign with a guy called John Savage, who is the founder of Amp Studios, right? So we'd worked on a Hunters campaign at the time, made the most amount of money I'd ever made at that time. Right?
Wow.
So used that money to come to Joburg And when I was like, my tank was on E, going through stories, and I see he's built this place called Am Studios. And I reach out to him. I'm like, hey, I'd love to come check out this place. He's like, oh, dope. Actually, we're actually having something really cool today called like a hero conversations, where they would take someone who has like a seasoned artist, an artist that's just starting out, and they would have a conversation about finance. Right. So it's like they would take for example, a Khuli, and they would take an artist that's in their first year or whatever, and they would have a conversation about how do you remain sustainable. And I was like, yo, this is really dope, right? Because I have the talent, but I don't have the resources. I definitely don't have the money, so I need to be in this space. Completely fell in love with it. I think every creative that walks into a space like Amped is like, how do I become a part of this ecosystem, right? Sat down with John. He started doing the master classes. I was presenting those master classes, still doing music. But I think then 2020 hit, 2020 March. Ramaphosa stood on a pillar and said, shutting the country down for 90 days. Every creative went through something at that point, right?
Yeah.
And just to fast forward, the lockdown happens, and Amapiano at that time is just, it's coming, it's booming, it's booming, it's booming. And I absolutely love music. I am a hip hop, like to my core, I'm hip hop, right? But I could see the market, bro. Like I could see like, okay,
Shifting.
like this market is shifting, right? And it's like one of my favorite musicians, his quote is, a true hustler doesn't just know when to get in, but they know when to get out.
Wow.
Right. And that's in anything, whether it's in business, whether it's in a record label, whether it's in a deal, whatever. Right. And I was like, I can see things are not looking good for hip hop right now. And I was like, let me try and explore what else I'm good at. Right. And I had a conversation with John. I'm like, listen, man, I see the hip hop side. I still want to make music, but I'm not generating any real income out of this, like not sustainable income. Like I can gig here and there, but none of this is sustainable. Went into TV presenting. I presented a show on MTV Base for one season. Also that, like, income is very fluctuating. You get like 80 grand or 100 grand, and you don't see money for like another 3 months or 4 months, right? So, and I wasn't money savvy at all, bro. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Where
like,
was the money going? Let's be honest.
Listen, oh man, yo, I want to say, but I want to keep it educational.
Hey man, someone can learn. I always say there's two ways to learn. You're either learning from your own mistakes or someone else's.
It went to things that shouldn't have gone. It really went to things that shouldn't have gone. And I was trying to invest in myself also, in the art, buying a mic and whatever, but it just wasn't sustainable. And then I really started falling in love with the back end of how things are created, how to put together a show. Do you know what I mean? How people will see 40 minutes of this podcast, but we probably sat here for an hour. Conversations that happen off the camera, right? And the knowledge that comes from those things. And I was really fascinated with that world. And I became as equally in love with music as I was with the ecosystem of media, right? Content creation and everything. And leaned towards that. Spent a lot of time at Amped, to a point where they were like, actually, this guy really understands things that are going on the ground, understands the culture, right? And then came in there as an operations assistant, came in there as a social media manager first, with no freaking experience, right? I was just like, social media, when you look on the outside, social media manager sounds like I just need to post some shit, right? Like there was like, I didn't think about analytics and data. It's just like, yo, something cool happens, I post it. That's it. Then I learned again, like, okay, social media, this is how this works. Did that pretty well, got into operations assistant, then became an operations manager in the space. Now I'm nibbling in content strategy and project management. So I've like built up the skills as I've gone, right? And during that period of me being at Amped, Amp had shut down for like, I think 8 months, right?
Okay. Was this during COVID or?
No, just post-COVID, right?
Okay.
We were changing partners. So we were sponsored by one brand, and another brand was coming in, and the deal was taking longer than we had projected.
Yeah.
And in that 8 months, instead of getting another job like a normal person would do, I just kept going to the space. Like, I'd meet creatives, I'd go into the space and get them to shoot. And this is how I build relationships with guys like DJ Smooth, guys like Penwell, just getting them to come shoot in the space. It was very contradictory because the space is an empowerment space, right? So the creatives also wanted to use the space. It's like closed, but we still find a way to get into the space. So the community is angry. They're like, the fuckers, like, you guys are not letting us in anymore. But it's like, we trying to show brands that invest, right? Through that, build relationships, through that 8 months, not getting paid, but still coming to the space, myself and a couple of other guys that are still in the space, right? And the deal comes in, and the founders of the space, John Savage and Carl, are like, yo, we are like so thankful for what you've done, and as a testament of your loyalty, we want to help you start a business.
Wow.
Right? And go into the entrepreneurial side of things. I don't know. It sounds good, right? You're an entrepreneur yourself. I don't know if those guys were setting me up.
Hey man, welcome. Welcome
I don't
to the
know if they
struggle.
were setting me up, bro, or if it was really like from a good place, right? So I started a coffee shop, right? Benefits of being incubated in another space, and anybody who's trying to start another business now, I would recommend, if it's a service business, try your best to incubate yourself into another space, so you don't have to worry about rent. You can negotiate the rent to a lesser deal. You know what I mean? Though you don't have to worry about a lot of operational overhead costs. You know what I mean? So I got into it with that, not having to pay rent, not having to worry about renting and water and electricity, which was beneficial, right?
You're no longer in survival mode.
Yeah,
you can actually think about thriving. Yeah.
Exactly. So started that. I started with a partner, and then we kind of like had different ideas about how we want to run the business. So we split the business up, and then I'm now running BlaQ Grind by myself.
Nice.
Right? They are still investors and partners into the business, but they have given me lead to run the business myself.
That's awesome.
So that's how I transitioned from a musician to a content creator, to learning about operations management, to social media, to an entrepreneur in like 4 years.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of dark things that happen in between there.
That's what I want to get into. I want to get into those
There's like
dark
a lot
things.
of dark things that happen in between, but I found myself here.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I want to get into, because a lot of people see, like you were saying it now, even. You were like, I don't know if they were like selling me into this dream or something like that.
Yeah.
And the reason why it looks that way is because from the outside, people only see the success of it.
Bro.
They see someone who started this business that's flourishing, that's
Yeah.
in this established space.
Yeah.
So people automatically assumed, oh no, like this guy is doing well.
Yeah.
Everything was just like rosy, you know?
The back end.
But the back end, you don't see that stuff. And it's a product of social media.
For sure.
You only see the success parts because we're not
Yeah.
incentivized to kind of post the
Yeah.
struggles. And that's kind of why we started this podcast, is how do we get into those struggles? Because that's where the real gold lies. So like when it comes to your journey, right, you spoke of it about, you spoke about a lot. There's a lot of things that I think we can unpack. The first thing that kind of struck me was how you were talking about how there was that period of 8 months where you weren't making any money, but you were still putting in work.
For
Why?
sure.
Why did you do that? Because there's the reason why I need to ask this. There's like, there's people out there that are like, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not lifting my finger.
Yeah.
But for you, you spent 8 months grinding with getting nothing in return.
Look, bro, I think that I think collaboration and network is the new highest form of commodity, right? I think that, yes, money is access, right? I had the access, so I didn't need the money, right? If I needed access to something else, then I would have probably gone and get the job, right? Or another whatever. I had the access, right? And I really think when you're starting out in anything, right, um, the relationships you build are the most important things. I think for example, anybody in their 20s, if you in your 20s listening to this, right, there is nothing more important than building relationships. There is nothing, not a damn thing more important than building the relationships, especially with the people that don't look like they have life figured out at 20, right? Because the you may be cool at 20. I was cool at 20. Like I was
You're
ambassadors
still
of
cool, bro. Come on.
no, so I was like getting into the club for free. And I'm still doing music. So people that were not cool in their 20s that I could like, oh man, send me a DM. Yo, bro, can you let me into the club for free? Please, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna buy a bottle. I just want to be in the club space, whatever, right? At that time, that guy is respectfully a loser, right? And
Match.
you know what I mean? Those guys are like, they are putting in the work, they are putting in the time. I promise you, those guys, listen to me carefully. I promise you, the people in their 20s, when they are in their 30s, they are the project managers.
Yeah.
They are the marketing managers. That guy that you probably said, I'm not going to answer his DM. He's got this many followers. He's like, that person in their 30s is most likely going to be more established and in the business that he was in his 20s. In his 20s, he's an intern, right? He's the guy that does all the work that nobody wants to do, right? Or she's the intern doing all the work that nobody wants to do in her 30s. She is damn near running things, right? She's a decision maker, right? And I learned that, to be honest, like in my 20s, I just really moved with a positive energy, bro. Like, not to sound spiritual or anything like that, but I moved with a positive energy, right? Anybody who's around me, I try to make sure every conversation I have, you walk out feeling better about yourself after that conversation, right? In whatever way I can. And in my 30s, in the things that I'm building, the things that I'm doing, like people that I knew in my 20s are now project managers. They are now marketing managers. They're probably gonna be CEOs in their 40s. I'm now the person who's like, hey man, listen.
That one time I let you in the club. You remember that time, right?
You know what I'm saying? So to return to the question, the reason why I stayed was because I knew if I could get this thing right from the ground up, the relationships that I will build will be authentic, right? The people that are relying on me to get this thing right, it will be a testament of my loyalty, right? That when we are cooking and the pan gets hot, that I don't leave, I don't run, right? And I'm obsessed with personal development, man. Like I have a coffee business, right? Do not be shocked if you see me in mining in 5 years or in charity. Don't be shocked, bro. If I'm passionate about something, I'm going in, and when I go in, I fully commit. So for my 20s, or let me rather say this, that period, for me, the most important thing was building the relationships, because I thought that would be way more important than any revenue that I would get anywhere else.
And when you said when you do something, you go
I
100%.
dive in, bro.
Why? Where does that come from?
I believe in look before you leap, which doesn't always work out for me, right?
So
Doesn't always work out for everybody.
the funny thing about that, right,
Yeah.
is you kind of have to fail to grow.
Yeah.
Like, so
That's the thing.
sometimes when you leap, you're gonna
Yeah.
fall. Sometimes you're gonna get caught.
True.
But you have to go through the falls in order to be caught, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So for me, it was like, let me just try and commit. Like if I'm diving into it, let me commit. If I fail, I truly believe, right? Failure and pain are one of the best gifts that you can get. Failure and pain is one of the best gifts you can get, bro. No one is gymming harder than the guy that's going through a breakup. Let me tell you.
Bro, dude, I
There's
went through
no
a breakup.
protein shake.
I went through a breakup.
Tell me
And
what
literally,
happened.
like, I was hitting the gym hard, bro. And people would always
I
come
saw
up
your
to me.
Instagram, bro. I'm like, my man's out here.
Bro, I was literally like, and then people would come up to me, they'd be like, dude, what like diets are you eating? What supplements are you taking? I was like, bro, the best pre-workout you can have is heartbreak.
Come on,
Like,
man. Come
the-
on, man.
and that
Come
doesn't just
on,
apply
man.
for the gym though.
Yeah,
That can apply for business.
for
It can
sure.
apply for creativity
For
too.
sure.
But it
For
depends
sure.
how you view it and how you
Yeah.
translate that pain into something
Exactly.
positive,
Exactly. If
right?
you can take the lessons out of whatever situation you're in. I mean, you're in the DJing space, you're in the entrepreneurial space. Bro, you know.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? You know that like you can have a good day, you can have a good morning, and you can have a good morning at 7 a.m. and it goes to shit at 9 a.m. and it becomes better-ish at 1 p.m. and it goes back to shit at 3 p.m. and then it's all right at 6 p.m. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like a level of faith that comes with being in this thing, right? I really think to be an entrepreneur, you need to be crazy faithful. You know what I mean? And very spiritual. I think that's the most important thing, to be honest.
When I'm ever making a decision, that I don't know if it's the same for you, but I'm always thinking, am I making this decision from a place of fear or from a place of faith?
Yeah.
And that's like my compass in terms of where I'm making a good or bad decision. And that thing of like fear or faith, it ties into what you were talking about earlier in terms of like, you mentioned now that you kind of have to take a leap. And for me, I kind of view that as like action, right? You need to be moving.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to tell is if you like hit a speed
Something,
bump
yeah.
or something. But
Yeah.
you're never going to hit that thing if you're not moving.
Yeah.
So like it reminds me of this picture that I saw the other day of this. There were two targets, right? And the top one said, this is not, I can't remember what it said, but it was basically two targets. The top one had arrows in it and the other one had nothing in it. And it
Okay.
said, this is what failure is, the one that didn't have any arrows.
100%, bro.
And I think a lot of time we think failure
100%.
is like when you try something and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like that's not failure.
Yeah.
The failure is not trying.
Yeah.
So-
Failure is walking away from the pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And giving up.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so like having said that, like what is that thing that keeps you going? Like where do you want to get to?
Bro,
What is your
that's
why?
it's a deep question for me personally. I think to have a purpose, I think when you know you have a purpose, right, and you've seen it, right, like you've envisioned it and you've almost felt it, right. There's a level of you can't behave like everybody else, right? You can't. There's nothing about where I want to be that's average. So there's nothing that I do that's average, right? There's the relationships that I build are not average. The house that I want is not average. The car that I drive is not average. My partner is not average, right? So I'm not gonna sleep the average amount of hours because nothing in my life is average. You get me?
Yeah.
And I have told myself I do not want an average life. Right? I think people will always find a way to fight for their limitations, and you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them, bro. There's people who always fight to say no, but this is not how this is supposed to be, right? A six-pack is not natural. You then live that life, bro. Let's touch base in like 5 years and you let me know how that's worked out for you.
Not even 5, 10, 15.
Do you know what I
20
mean?
years. Yeah.
So for me, it's like my why is because I've been blessed enough to have the gift to be able to talk to people, to build relationships, to build things. Do you know what I mean? So I can't, like, if I don't do this, right, it would be a sin, bro. It would just as like it's a sin for sex before marriage, or like it's a sin to kill someone. For me, it would be a sin to have what I have, right? And have the connections that I have and be able to sit in the room with people like you and not build anything. That for me is a sin, just as killing is a sin. To not live in my purpose is a complete sin for me.
Sounds like that comes from a place of self-love.
For sure. And that's the gym.
Nice.
That's the gym, bro. Like if I think most of us as males struggle with self-love. Because where do you get it, bro? Like where do you learn to love yourself? And I think at the foundation of loving yourself is discipline. The more you become disciplined, the more you learn to love yourself. To say, okay, I want to stop doing this. And if I want to gym more, I need to stop smoking. I need to stop drinking. I need to get enough rest. If I want to see results, I need to gym more than twice a week or whatever the case may be, right? But all those things that lead to a level that sharpen your discipline, I believe truly then you get closer to self-love because someone says, hey bro, let's go out. You fucking know you have leg day tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, bro, I can't. I would love to. Yo, Josh, we need you to come do the sick. You're like, I would love to. We're gonna pay you. I
That
need the
doesn't
money,
matter.
but I need to do this. Do you know what I mean? And that sharpens the discipline. And I think once the discipline then comes about, you then learn to love yourself, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time when you didn't have that self-love?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I don't even think I knew what like love is. I don't think I did until mid 20s. Until mid 20s. Until let me get a little bit deep. Until I lost my dad.
Wow.
I didn't know. I didn't know the value of time. My dad passed away 2016. He had cancer. Doctors told him flat out, bro, there's no making it out of this thing. You have 6 months.
Gosh.
Right. At the time I was doing my third year. I dropped out in my third year. And I spent every day with my dad. Every day with my dad. And just sitting with him, valuing time because you don't know what the hell is gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? That's why I don't bask in negativity. I don't bask in arguments. Do you know what I mean? I and even me seeing love in that way was seeing my dad and my mom. Just seeing my mom take care of my dad. She didn't need to be as committed as she was, and she was. And she was just every day and every single day and showing up, and him showing up for her every single day. Do you know what I mean? When I saw that, I was like, okay, this is what like this is
Real
what
love
love
is.
is for me. Right? It's like really showing up even when you know that things are not going to end badly, not going to end well. Showing up, fully knowing like it's just not going to work out. But I believe we are living in a time and a generation where we really like we need guarantees. You know what I mean? Like the job must be this long of a contract. Da, 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 da. But I think if you're creative, you live in agile mode, bro. Things can change at any, things can change at any point in time, and it's important to be agile. It's important to be able to move around. For me, I truly learned the love aspect by seeing people that knew things were going to end sooner than later and still showed up for each other every day. That's for me where I understood, okay, this is love for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And it speaks to that unconditionality.
For
right?
sure.
Because if you know that person's not going to be there a few years from now, you're not, it's
Why
pure.
still invest, bro?
It's pure.
And it's the same reason why I worked in a business that I didn't even know what its future looked like because I loved the place. I still love the place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same reason I go into the entrepreneurial things. It's like because I love this shit, bro. Like, and I love personal development. I love looking at my life 2 years ago and being like, oh shit, yo, I was on that couch. I remember, or I slept in my car for that time period, and like, yo, now I'm here.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's phenomenal. When you mention now that when that like pivot happened was when your father passed. And I've spoken about this many times on the podcast as well, and it's crazy because when I walked in that studio, there was something that connected.
Yeah.
And when I think about when my pivot was, it was when my father passed.
You're joking.
Exact. Yeah. So my dad passed away when I was 12. And
Fuck, bro.
that's really what switched for me, because when something like that happens, like, okay, there wasn't a whole situation where my mom was like showing up for my dad. It was slightly different. But I think the commonality between it was that I realized that, because in that moment, you start thinking to yourself, or I started thinking to myself, it's like, how am I going to do life now without this huge part of it,
At 12.
At 12, yeah. So you're starting to wonder, like, flip, this is not normal. This is not how the normal life should be lived.
Yeah.
Is it going to be possible for me to learn these things, to do what I want to do?
For sure.
So you start thinking, like, there's a lot of doubt and fear that comes along with that,
Yeah.
right? And I think the thing that helped switch my mindset was every step that I took and things were okay,
Yeah.
it gave me more and more confidence to know that
Keep going.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be fine. And then over the span of like 10, 15 years, I then started realizing that that thing that happened to me that was different to what the normal person experiences is the thing that actually makes me different and gives me an edge compared to the person next to me.
Yeah.
Because that person next to me that did have a dad didn't have to go through a lot of these struggles
For
that
sure.
I had to go through.
For sure.
And therefore, because I had gone through those, it equipped me with all these different levels of skill and resilience that a lot of people didn't have in the same way that I did.
For sure.
So for me, it started becoming less of like a hindrance and more of actually a thing that actually propelled me to go further.
Dope.
And I think that's like a mindset shift that can only happen over time.
Yeah. Pain, bro.
Yeah.
It's the pain. Can I ask what type of support structure did you have during that period?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting question because it can go two ways. It can go the way where you get through it and you progress past it. But for some people, it's the opposite. It actually puts you down a slippery slope.
And a rabbit hole.
Exactly. So I think a large portion of that decides which direction it's going to go is the environment that you're in and the people around you, which is why it's so important to surround yourself with people that, you know, add and pour into your life.
Yeah.
Because when you are surrounded by those people, it helps you get out of that hole that you're in.
Yeah.
And then when you're succeeding and they're in a hole, then you
can
pour
then
back
pull them.
into them. So
for
it's
sure.
a two-way street.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the thing that really helped me was my friends. Like I had a really, like to this day, I'm still friends with those people.
For real.
Yeah. And it's crazy
Jeez.
because when that thing happened, it was so weird because I was literally like a kid in school. And it's weird, bro. Like you come to school and like everyone knows that this has happened to you. Exactly. So it like creates this weird situation now where you're at school and now everyone's looking at you funny and like not like intentionally, but it's like, you know, when people just know that
like
you're going to know your business. So I feel like
and they don't know what to ask. They don't know what to say.
Exactly. And it's awkward and it's weird. And it's like you're in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. So like that's
very well said, actually.
Literally. That's how it felt. And then in the moment, there were certain people that I wasn't even really close friends with at the time, but were there for me in the way that I needed them to be. Shit. And through that, we became much closer. I've actually never told them, but I should actually spend some time and like say, like, look, you actually did this for me. I just want to say thank you because those people being there and supporting me through that is one of the major things that helped me. The other thing that helped me a lot was going to therapy. So I was able in the school, there was a school counselor that I would go to and she would like help me unpack these things. And through that helped a lot because I was able to, instead of just like, I think it's so easy when you're in those difficult situations, just kind of brush things to the side and just keep on moving and not really like actually sit with it and like unpack it
like
and
zero
understand
in on that feeling and that emotion.
So I think that process of like sitting with it, unpacking it, also allowing yourself to feel certain things and, you know, having that sort of validation that, you know, although you are feeling this way, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you or anything like that. Having that, those affirmations is what really helped me as well. And then I'd say lastly, the other thing that helped me a lot was my mom.
Okay.
Like, my mom just let me be, hey? Like,
for real?
Yeah, she just let me be. I think a lot of the time, especially in like the South African context, parents really try to like kind of mold their kids into what they want them to be. So they like have certain pressures that they put on their kids. And my mom did not do that. She kind of just like, she was like, as long as you're passing in school and you're not like taking drugs or doing like stupid things, then it's okay. Even though I was doing stupid things either way, which she didn't really know about. Sorry, mom. But I think just that, like having that, just being able to be, not having
Yeah.
that pressure on you is
And
what
not someone
helps.
dictating how you should be, like how the
Yes.
type of person that you should be. That's dope, bro.
Yeah. It was like a
That's
certain
dope.
freedom. And I think it's really dope because like that was a major gift that she gave me.
Yeah.
She also pushed me to do the things that were difficult. So like, for example, when I was in school,
Mhm.
in grade 8, you have that choice. Are you going to
Yeah.
stick with Afrikaans or are you going to go with Zulu as
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
second additional language? And I was like at this pivot point. I was like, everyone in my school was doing Afrikaans. There was probably
Yeah.
like 20 people that did Zulu.
Yeah.
And my mom really pushed me to do Zulu. So I was like, okay, awesome. So
You did Zulu.
yeah, I did Zulu.
I don't believe you, bro.
I did,
I need you
bro.
to say like one word.
Sikhuluma isiZulu nawe.
My man, come on, man. Come on. That's dope.
Sikhona, bro. Like, no, but
That's crazy.
yeah, no. So like, I was literally the only white kid in that class, and
Of course you are, man.
and that was dope because like it gave me a whole different like context into like the
Yeah.
world that we live in,
Yeah.
and South Africa,
Mm.
So I think a lot of other kids that didn't do that,
Yeah.
they were at a disadvantage once
Yeah.
they left school because our school was a bubble.
Yeah.
So now you leave the bubble and you start to realize, oh, it was normal to take Afrikaans,
Yeah.
bruh. In the real
Well,
world,
that's just not normal.
5% of the people
Yeah.
are speaking Afrikaans.
Yeah.
So rather have a language that
Jeez.
people speak,
Can
So,
I ask this? How important is it to do the uncomfortable things for you,
bro,
right? From an entrepreneurial perspective, like how important is that?
but people often like wonder like how I've been able to run a business straight out of varsity. I've never worked a 9 to 5
Ever?
ever.
Come on, man. Not one.
Never.
Like you didn't work at like Spur, nothing.
Never. I did do part-time jobs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I did do bartending in school, in
Okay.
varsity. I remember the first job I ever got was for this lady who was doing accounting, and she needed someone to scan receipts. So I would like be there the whole day, like scanning receipts.
What?
That was, and I think I got paid like $200 or something. Like it was something like stupid.
Jeez.
But yeah, no. So I've never worked like an official 9 to 5. I've always done like side hustles here and there. And then when I finished varsity, I went straight into entrepreneurship. So I did have the opportunity to go down the corporate route.
Yeah.
But for me, that lesson that I learned from Zulu, bro.
Yeah.
Because bro, Zulu as a white guy, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry, man. I don't
It's
mean
rough.
to laugh, but you chose. Okay, yes.
yeah. Kubuhlungu, bro. We felt it. And like, so it was hard, bro. Like,
Yeah.
because I didn't have someone at home to help me.
Yeah.
And this was where the support system comes into
Do you have any black friends at the time?
Bro, I wouldn't have passed. Like, there was, look, so that friend that I was talking to you about earlier,
Yeah.
it's funny how these connections come through the conversation, but that friend that I was talking to you about earlier that was there for me when my dad passed.
Yes.
So we became closer. He was also in the Zulu class. Bro, I would literally, when we had tests and stuff, I would go to their house and we would spend the whole day. They would just teach me like everything. Yeah. We spent hours, bro. Hours. That was at my friend's place, going through, helping study, learning. And I think it was also good for them as well because like you learn a lot through teaching.
Yeah.
So so through that we would help each other in that
Yeah.
way, which was really cool. And then I also did like tutoring, but bro, it was work. Like I remember spending like 3 hours in tutoring after school. So like you do your full school day,
For sure.
you go to 3 hours of tutoring.
Yeah.
Like it was hectic.
Can I ask this?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask this? The period, right, where you have the option of Afrikaans and take Zulu, right? Now you've taken it, but you don't have to stay there, right? There's an option to leave. Have you had that feeling, like, can you pinpoint a moment in the entrepreneurial side where it's like you've taken this uncomfortable thing, right? the comfortable thing is it's there, bro. The Afrikaans is there, right? And you
Yeah.
can just sail through, right? 9 to 5 or whatever. Have you experienced that from an entrepreneurial level?
100%. That's why I did entrepreneurship. So like through doing Zulu, right? I didn't know if I could do it. And then test after test after test, you know, there were 40%ers, there were 30%ers. Those happen. Right?
Yeah.
You have to
Just
go
get
through
through
that.
to write the exam.
Exactly. And like I went through that and I kept trying. And whenever I get to the exams from those smaller tests, failing pushed me to now work harder when I was studying for the exam because I was scared of failing. I didn't want to go back there. So like through that like fear of that failure or not or wanting to pass, I don't know how to phrase it, but like that kind of pushed me to work harder. And then through working harder, I saw, okay, cool, no, I passed. I got 50%, I got 52%. And then it's that same thing of building confidence because then you realize all it takes is for you to get 60% once, and then you know you can do it.
Actually do it.
So you can keep pushing. So I landed up getting, in some assessments, I would get like higher marks, and then that kept me pushing. And then, yeah, I just kept working on it. And I knew I could, like, if I really worked hard, I knew I could pass it.
That's right.
And then I got to matric, and then I landed up getting 65% in matric, which I was like, I got like 80s and 90s for other subjects, but that 65,
Bro, that's a 90, bro.
Like it felt way better than the other subjects. And the reason why was because of I knew how much I had invested into getting that. So when it happened, the reward and the success of that felt so much greater than the reward of the 90% for the thing that you didn't have to put much effort into. So that's really like what gave me that little taste. And then that concept of choosing the difficult path was something that I had known. I'd gotten the reward for doing that in Zulu. So when I went to varsity, it was the same thing. We all did first year. I studied a BCom, and in that BCom, we all had to take like a variety of subjects in the first year just to get an overview of everything, right? And I remember having conversations with people that I was studying with, and I would always pick up that the one subject that everyone would complain about was economics. This is the hardest one. I'm never going to do this one again. I can't wait till I'm done.
I was there.
Literally, you know the struggle.
BCom Gen.
Bro. So when I went into second year and I had to choose what I was going to major in, the thing that came naturally to me was economics. Because that was the one that I didn't know I could do. I like problems, bro. I like problems. And it's the benefit of liking problems is you become a problem solver. You figure out solutions.
Yes, sir.
So through that, you know, I carried that through economics. And then the same thing by the time I'd finished studying. Do you go the corporate route, which you know you can do, or you do the thing that you know is the more difficult one, that's more unpredictable, that no one else wants to do? And I chose to do that one. And now fast forward 5 years later, I've done it so many times to the point where now if a client comes and they're like, yo, we've got this massive thing, we want you to help with this, or you see an opportunity and you have no idea if you can do it or not, bro, I don't care. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And the reason why I can be confident in saying that is because I've done it so many times. So you have to, the first time is always the hardest time. But the more and more you do it, the less fear you have, and the more you're able to operate through faith.
It's the same thing at the gym, right?
Exactly. It's the same thing.
It's the same. It's to say, okay, this weight, what the fuck?
You go the first day after you haven't trained for months. And you're trying to lift what you could, or maybe it's your first time lifting, and you're like,
oh my gosh, it's relentless. And after time, it's like, oh man, like I'm actually used to this. Then you have to go back to that square one. It's like, okay, now I need to go higher. It's like, then there's that Afrikaans there again. It's like, bro, you can just do more reps here. It's like, no, let me go back to that position of uncomfortability, which is why I stress to anybody like that I care about gym. Like working out is so good for you in so many ways, bro. It really teaches you that you cannot get something and appreciate it without sacrificing. You have to sacrifice the time. You have to sacrifice the diet. Do you know what I mean? Like
you have to be in pain.
You have to be in pain. Like I said, the pain And the failure is where the blessings lie, bro. Like
Mm.
that's really where they lie. So I really believe with when doing something like the gym, or when doing something like the route less traveled, the lessons that are in there, bro, they are they prepare you for the 1%.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
We live in a world filled with billions of people
Mhm.
that are all doing different things.
Yeah.
The easiest way to stand out is to take the path that not everyone is taking.
Sure.
Because the amount of people that you are competing with
Yeah.
is way less.
Yeah.
So it becomes much easier to stand out on that path than
yeah.
the path where everyone is walking.
For sure.
So if you're able to find that path that's less traveled, and the path that's less traveled is always the more difficult one. So if you're able to like find that space, then you will stand out and you will get more opportunities naturally
For sure.
because there's less other people to give those opportunities to.
Exactly.
So if you see a lot of people that are doing one thing, do the opposite. Like
Go the other direction.
go the other direction.
As tricky and as challenging as it may be, go the other direction.
Yeah.
My man.
So can you give me an instance? You kind of mentioned them a few now, right? Like I feel like you coming to Joburg was sort of going in the other direction.
Yeah,
Would you say that?
definitely. Definitely. There was no need for me to be here, bro.
Yeah.
Like there was no need
Yeah.
for me to be here. But like I said again, back to the purpose thing, man. Like, I when I even think about my dreams and know the things that I have to do, it feels crazy. It's like, why would you want to do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you want to? I want, like, that's why M Studios for me was a place that was like, it's like provide resources for the people that can't get access to them. And plenty of people, M Studios related, would ask, like, why the hell is this place free? Why is it free? Why? But if you look at the ecosystem, if you look at the market, right, that's what is needed, right?
Yeah.
The reason why M Studios was built was because of two reasons. One, lack of resources. Everybody knows at this point that South Africa is the most talented country on this globe,
Bro,
right? But we still struggle with lack of resources.
development.
You're more likely to find talent on TikTok than on TV or any other form of media, right? Resources, right? Kids don't have access to resources. And then the second fundamental part is the education, right? It's like, being a DJ, right? How many people play but can't sustain themselves off being this thing, right? How many artists have been in the industry? We've heard stories, man, of artists dying broke and yada 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 yada. It's unsustainable, right? But yes, it's an unconventional route to take. It's a challenging route to take, but you problem solve that, and you become an Amazon, bro. Do you know what I mean? You problem solve that, and you become larger. Well, once the problem is larger than you to fix, it will develop you to be a better person automatically.
Yeah.
Automatically.
And not even just that. Once the problem is larger than you to fix, it gives you room to bring on others
exactly to help you and build that community. I'm there with this goddamn brand.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm there with, I'm like, I promise you, I have no idea what I'm doing. Anybody, what? I have no idea. If you see my social media and you're like, you could have done it better, I just told you. I don't know. I have no, but I am relentlessly committing to this thing. I wake up at 4 every day and I commit. I've just recently started, I've added food element because I was doing the coffee and people were like, hey, it would be nice to have a muffin with this thing. Who do you think is going to make it, bro? Now I have to wake up at 4, right? I have to wake up at 4 and work on the muffins. And after the muffins are done with my partner, then after the muffins, and she does them, right? She'll wake up and she's baking the muffins. I'm working on the books, right? Trying to write the invoices, trying to do the help myself better in a social media course, whatever the case may be, so that I get better at these things. 6 o'clock, go to the gym, right? Then go to after gym, then go to work, then
Sheesh.
after work, get back into this thing, right? But I still don't know what I'm doing. But does that mean I'm going to stop? No. I really truly believe when you are in something new and you're in something like entrepreneurship, it is in your best interest to not know the road ahead. Just know enough. You know, when you're driving in the dark, like when it's wildly dark and and you're driving and the light is only enough for you to see where you need to go. That's what I think the road to entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
I think it's seeing just enough to move a little bit forward, a little bit forward. If you see the whole thing, you will turn back.
Yeah. And eventually the sun will rise.
Yeah.
And you will see where you are
100%.
at.
Ah, bro.
So we've spoken a lot about the dark road.
Yeah.
I think it's important to also talk about like the successes, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe AMPS is a good place to start with
Yeah.
that conversation, because people ask, why is AMPS free?
Yeah.
I want to ask, how is AMPS free?
Okay. So the AMP model, right? The AMP business model is get money from the corporates, get money from the people that can afford to pay, right? So AMP is not entirely free. It's free for the baseline community, right? So we have 3 tiers, right? You have the community, people who are coming into AMP every day, starting to learn how to podcast, starting to learn how to make music, and they get an hour and a half. Then second tier is where it's like our relationship tier, where you have something of value, right? You may not be able to afford to be at AMP for an entire day, can't pay for an entire day, but you have resources and you have access and you have a community that we can benefit from. We then do a trade exchange with you. So a DJ Spoo comes and shoots at AMP, and when we ask DJ Spoo, we need you to do a masterclass on entrepreneurship, he says, say less. And he does that. And now that's the trade-off. Then we have the corporate giants who then have the money, who will say, I want to do masterclasses at AMP. I want to do a takeover at AMP. I want to tap into your guys' database, right? Then they pay, right? So it's really from a business model of not trying to get blood out of a stone, right? And using everybody's best assets.
Dope.
I mean, that's where to answer your question, that's where the money comes from.
You guys are basically modern day Robin Hoods.
Yeah.
Except you're not stealing, you're offering value. Okay. All right.
Exactly.
So the reason why I wanted to ask that is because I think in South Africa, we have this concept, or the idea of free is a very interesting idea that I see. Because I think people think, oh no, this thing's free. Nothing's free, guys.
Yeah. If something is free, you're the product.
Yeah. 100%. So I think it's important to like unpack that. I'm glad you kind of given us a sense of the business model behind it, because a lot of the time we expect things to be free, but it's like you have to find a way to make it sustainable. Because that rents for that place needs to be paid.
For
the
sure,
equipment
man.
needs to be paid for, maintenance, people in the space, all of that stuff needs to pay for. So finding creative ways to fund that is where I'm seeing AMPS is really like succeeded. And now, like, moving away from AMPS, like for you personally, Slim, what would you say has been your biggest deal that you've landed?
Biggest deal? Bro. The biggest deal is probably the deal that I got offered this week. I signed the NDA, so I can't.
Oh no.
I can't, but it ticked all the fucking boxes, bro. I think these guys studied me. They were like, let's look at it's a two-part project. And it's about self-development or people development. I'm like, oh, motherfuckers. You know, I like helping people.
Yeah, they got you.
And I was offered a partnership stake into the business. Right?
Wow.
And I was like, man, that's like probably I'm still like, because I'm not sure if it's, because once I go in, I don't know what it would mean for everything else. You know, and I've just rebranded BlaQ Grind. So it's like the timing. And I think that's one thing I've always struggled with, is like finding the right time for something. And I don't think people understand how important time is when it comes to ideas, when it comes to execution. I'm learning timing is damn near everything, right? I was shifting away a little bit. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, right? And they were asking me with regards to the music, to say, hey man, like, you were really like good at this thing. And I really was, bro. And they were like, what do you think? And even a M community member asked me, like, what do you think is the recipe to succeed in music, right? And I really had to think about, like, I really thought about it. And I may be wrong, because I never fully became successful in music, but I believe in order to succeed in music, and not just music, but I think in entrepreneurship, maybe these things will align. I hope. I'm talking as I'm going. But I believe there's 5 elements, right? I think there's 5 elements to succeed as a creative. I think number 1, you need a team, a really strong team, right? Whether you're a musician, whether you're creative, you need a strong team. 2, you need liquid. Whether you like it or not, you need liquid, right? You need money. If you are a musician listening to this, if you're creative listening to this, if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, you need liquid in one way, form, even if it's not in the initial phase. I'm talking about not to start this thing. I'm talking about to be sustainable and scale this thing.
To keep going.
You need liquid. So you need a good team. You need liquid. You need time and a little bit of luck, right? You need time and a little bit of luck. Why I say that is because a great idea at the wrong time does not work, right? And that's where that small hole of luck comes in. Number 4, I said liquid, I said team, I said luck. What else the hell do you need? I think I'll get to the 5th one. I think number 4 is you need, especially as a creative and as an entrepreneur, you need a great story. I think in our music industry, especially hip hop, it's missing a great story, bro. You need a great story. The music can only take you so far. The story is what makes someone emotionally invest in you. Entrepreneurship, it's the same thing, bro. It's like coffee is coffee, my guy. I said it. There's really bad coffee. There's eyed coffee. Then there's great coffee. No one really knows the difference between eyed and bad coffee, right? The coffee people know the great coffee. But the story that I'm building behind this thing, this coffee represents starting over, starting scared, starting broke, just starting, right? That is the story, right? And I think in entrepreneurship, it's the same thing. And in music, you need the people that have stood the test of time have a great fucking story. The 5th one, what is the 5th one? So I said number 1 is
It's
time, right?
It's not BlaQ Grind Coffee, is it? The 5th one.
It might be. I think I wrote it down. I said 5 elements. I said, of course, not so much, but you need talent. You need talent.
I think that ties into the discipline, eh?
Yeah, you need talent, right? So you need the talent, you need a good team, you need liquid, you need a great story, and you need a bit of luck, right? In those aspects. If you can nail at least, if you want to be sustainable, nail at least 3 of those things. If you can nail at least 3 of those things, you can live off.
You can keep going.
You nail 5 of these things, I guarantee you, you will make a difference in the world. Sure. And you will stand out in whatever you do.
Phenomenal.
My man.
Let's go. Now, this has been an entire roller coaster ride. We've had the ups, we've had
such
the
a
lows.
dope conversation, bro.
We've had everything in between.
Yes, sir.
And there were little drops of sauce in there as well as a little bit of spice, and the secret ingredients have become very clear. The rest is up to you.
Yeah.
How are you going to cook? Slim?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
for
us,
having
man.
me, man. I appreciate it. I really
Let's
do
go.
appreciate it. This was really dope.
Thank you so much for watching this latest episode of the C.Cast. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to achieve a huge mission and we need you to invest in it. The best way to do that is by liking, sharing, and subscribing and leaving a comment down below. By doing that, you help the algorithm understand that we are offering content that is valuable and it will reach more people. There might also be someone out there that just wants to learn a lesson or who might be able to take something away from the podcast. Share it with them. And lastly, if you would like to be more involved in the community, if you want access to opportunities, knowledge from our experience in the digital marketing space, or to connect with other people who are like-minded and uplifting the continent, starting businesses and using tech and creativity to make them successful, join the WhatsApp group by scanning the QR code and we'll chat with you there. Until then, bye.
If betting was the answer, we'd all be millionaires right now. So why are we still broke? It's exciting, it gives a rush, and sometimes it pays out. But there's an uncomfortable truth about this reality. Gambling can quickly spiral into addiction, debts, and financial stress. They are all friends of this thing. And from an economic standpoint, billions of rands are lost every year. Money that could be spent on South African businesses. But instead, we're losing it to these big gambling companies. It doesn't sound great, but it's not all bad news. There are practical, proven ways to invest your time online and build something sustainable. Let's explore ways that you can start today. No luck needed, just action. Welcome back to the Creatrepreneur. I get it, a white guy talking about African entrepreneurship might sound a bit off, but I'm not here to teach. I'm here to build, to listen, and to hold the mic open. Let's cook.